The rain had soaked her from head to toe, yet she didn't move. She stood at the towering golden gates of the mansion, shivering, clutching the strap of her worn-out bag as if it were the last thing keeping her grounded. People hurried past, security guards exchanged cold glances, and not a single soul cared enough to ask if she was all right. For hours, she had been there, waiting, hoping, and praying for a chance. But every time she stepped forward, the guards' firm voices pushed her back. "You can't come in. You don't belong here." The humiliation stung deeper than the icy rain, but she stayed, because sometimes, when your heart is desperate enough, your dignity is the first thing you lose. And then, just when she thought the world had forgotten her completely, the heavy gates swung open. A sleek black car rolled forward, its tinted windows hiding the world of wealth and power inside. Everyone stopped to watch. The guards stiffened. But instead of the car sweeping past her, it slowed. The window rolled down, and the man everyone whispered about, the billionaire whose name appeared in every newspaper headline, whose face was on magazine covers, looked directly at her. And in that moment, something unexplainable happened. He opened the door, stepped out into the rain, and walked toward the girl who wasn't allowed inside. Glowing star, before we go deeper into this powerful story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that every soul deserves to be seen, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Tales. Your support helps us keep spreading stories that touch hearts. Glowing star. Her name was Elena, and her life had never been gentle. She grew up in a small village where dreams were considered luxuries. Her father was a struggling farmer, her mother sold vegetables in the marketplace, and yet even in their poverty, they believed in dignity. They taught her that hard work was sacred, and kindness was a currency more valuable than gold. But fate didn't reward them. A storm one night destroyed the little land they had, debts piled up like mountains, and Elena found herself forced to leave school at the age of 15. By 16, she was working as a maid in the city, scrubbing floors and washing clothes for families who barely acknowledged her presence. But Elena had something her employers never noticed, a quiet fire in her eyes, an unbreakable will. She dreamed, not of riches, but of dignity. She wanted to lift her parents out of despair, to give them a life where every meal wasn't a question mark. She began to read discarded newspapers, books thrown away by the children she worked for, and slowly she taught herself more than she had ever learned in school. Words became her power, knowledge her secret weapon. She believed one day she would get a chance to prove herself. That chance, however, seemed impossibly far when she stood outside the mansion gates of Alexander Hale, one of the richest men in the country. Known for his ruthless business deals and unimaginable wealth, Alexander was not a man anyone approached lightly. Elena had come because she had written something, an idea, a vision, scribbled on worn pages she carried in her bag. It wasn't just a plan for business, it was her heart poured into words. She believed if she could just show him, maybe he would see that even someone from the mud could dream of building something that mattered. But the guards didn't see her determination. They only saw her ragged shoes, her drenched clothes, her tired face. For them, she was just another beggar trying to disturb their master. Go away, they told her, again and again. But she stayed. She whispered to herself, one day, one yes will change everything. When Alexander stepped out of that car, the entire world seemed to freeze. His tailored suit was untouched by the rain, yet he didn't hesitate to walk toward her, his polished shoes splashing into the puddles. The guards rushed to stop him, murmuring that she was nobody, that she didn't belong here. But Alexander raised his hand, silencing them. And then, for the first time in her life, Elena felt seen. His eyes met hers, not with pity, but with curiosity. He didn't ask her why she was there. He simply said, "Come inside." Inside the mansion, the contrast was overwhelming. Crystal chandeliers sparkled, polished marble floors stretched endlessly, and the warmth of golden lights made her shiver all the more, as though she didn't deserve to breathe the same air. She clutched her bag tightly, heart pounding, ready for rejection. Yet Alexander didn't send her away. Instead, he asked her to sit. It was the first time anyone of power had ever invited her to speak, and her voice trembled as she pulled out her pages. She explained her idea, a small initiative to help struggling farmers like her father. She spoke of sustainable methods, of education, of creating opportunities where none existed. She spoke from pain, from love, from raw experience. And as the words poured out of her, something remarkable happened. Alexander didn't interrupt. He didn't dismiss her. He listened. For the first time in her life, Elena's voice carried weight. Days turned into weeks. That single meeting became the spark of something bigger. Alexander invited her again, and again, asking questions, challenging her thoughts, guiding her toward shaping her vision into reality. He wasn't gentle, he was demanding, often harsh, but he gave her something no one else had ever given, a chance. Slowly, Elena became part of his world. The girl who wasn't allowed inside became the woman sitting at tables with people who once would never have let her near. But it wasn't easy. Whispers followed her everywhere. Who is she? Why is she here? She doesn't belong. The wealthy elite laughed at her accent, her simple clothes, her lack of polish. There were nights Elena went home in tears, doubting herself, wondering if she was only fooling herself. Yet every morning, she rose again, carrying not just her own dreams but the dreams of her parents, her village, and every unseen soul who had been told they were not enough. Her journey was long and bruising. There were setbacks, betrayals, and moments when giving up seemed easier than fighting. But Alexander never let her quit. He reminded her of the day she stood at his gates, soaked in rain but unbroken in spirit. That fire, he told her, is something even money cannot buy. Years later, Elena's idea had blossomed into reality. With Alexander's backing, she created a foundation that transformed countless struggling villages. Children went back to school. Farmers learned new skills. Families who once lived in despair now had hope. Elena became a symbol of resilience, a voice for those who had been silenced. She was no longer the girl denied entry, she was the woman who opened doors for others. And through it all, she never forgot the moment that changed her life, the moment the billionaire stepped out to welcome her when no one else would. Rose, if this story has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Tales for more powerful stories like this. Your engagement helps spread light in a world that often feels dark. Rose. Speech balloon special request. Comment below with the words, "Kindness can change lives," if you believe one act of compassion can transform the world. Elena's story is not just about wealth or success. It is about being seen. It is about the power of a single moment of kindness. It is about the courage to keep standing, even when the world tells you that you don't belong. Because sometimes, all it takes is one open door, one listening ear, one heart willing to care. And maybe, just maybe, your kindness could be the reason someone else's life changes forever.